Alex Hormozi spent years inside Christian apologetics, chasing every argument, every defense of the faith. But after all the study, the therapy, and the searching, he walked away. In this video, I want to unpack why. Not to mock faith, but to show why his decision makes sense, why the cracks in Christianity are real, and why atheism and agnosticism offer a clearer, freer way to live.
When I was like 19 or 20, I became a born-again Christian. The whole thing was like, oh my God, life's amazing. Jesus is great. And then I ended up falling away from that because I was like, I don't know if this is true. And then I spent the next 5 years dedicated to apologetics, which is defense of faith of the Christian faith. So just learning the arguments around like why Christianity like is true, right? I ended up not believing in it, and I can give a variety of reasons, but I'll give you the simplest one. Hopefully I'm not insulting anyone. This is just my belief that I'm sharing, which is one of the strongest arguments for Christianity against other world religions is that other world religions say like, if you go to the good place, so if you do a good job, you go to the good place, right? And fundamentally it's a hard paradigm because it means that like at what point are you 51% good versus 49%? Should I have just held one more door open and I would have gone to the good place forever, right? Not even talking about like finite circumstance and creating infinite outcomes, but like whatever. And so if you can draw that line, then it kind of makes it ridiculous, right? It like kind of breaks down on the like be a good person system, right? And so that's all worldviews with the exception of Buddhism and Christianity. With Christianity, they're like, you don't have to be good, you just have to have faith. And if you have faith in Jesus, then you go to the good place, right? And so the reason that for me, fundamentally, I didn't believe in that was because you actually create another false binary, which is believe or not believe. When in reality is to what extent you believe. It's how hard you believe. And again, you create another 50% line, which is should I believe 1% more? And then I would go into the good place forever, right? So anyways, the point is that I studied apologetics for a long period of time. And then I was really sad. And I was just like, fuck being sad. And I was like, fuck happiness. I was like, I'm just going to do stuff that I think is cool. And that was like the first break in the chain for me. My slogan to myself was actually just fuck happiness. And that was wildly freeing because I stopped judging myself for not being happy. And then I was just like, oh, I'm like, I'm unhappy. I'm like, cool, whatever. And I just kept going. And all of a sudden it just like stopped mattering to me. Like I don't think about it. I genuinely, like I don't think like, does this make me happy? Does it not? Like I don't think about it.
You just do what you want to do in the moment?
Just do whatever I feel like doing. And it's not like it's like all short-term, like all pleasure-seeking, whatever. Like I still have a long-term perspective of like, this is what I want to build.
Yeah.
Like I want to write these books. I want to build these courses. I want to do this stuff. But it's like, those are things that I enjoy. So that's what I do.
I love it. It's great.
All right.
I don't have anything to say there.
I mean, I had questions, but now I know the answers to them just based off here.
I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just listen and not say anything.
I know.
You know? Like, I don't want to mess it up. But then I created a belief that now I'm going to mess it up. So
Oh, God. Why does it matter, man?
Why does it even matter that I messed it up to begin with?
It doesn't. And you can't mess it
And
up.
then the comments are going to be, Grant messed it up. And then they're going to be the comments. Why does that matter?
I know it's crazy stuff, but like I think that like if you want to, like you can't do what 99% of people are doing if you want to be in the 1%. Yeah. Like fundamentally. And so like you have to have like what I would consider like maybe uncomfortable conversations, just be like, that's okay. Like, cool. Like I'm going to do my thing. And then they're like, and the thing is a lot of times if you just make your statements of like, this is how I believe, like people feel like you're attacking them, especially if you articulate it well. Because they're like, well, I don't, I'm like, cool. Like I don't give a shit. Like do whatever you want. Like it's all good to me. And so which is why I don't talk about it as much publicly.
His verdict sounds honest and clear. The saved versus lost frame depends on belief strength. A sliding scale never stabilizes. Mark 9:24 admits doubt inside belief. Matthew 7:21 rejects simple profession. John 3 stresses faith. James 2 demands works. One rulebook conflicts with another. Natural explanations cover origins and mind. Evolution accounts for human life. Modern cosmology models a universe without a personal creator. Neuroscience links moral judgment and spiritual highs to brain states. Randomized trials on intercessory prayer show no benefit versus controls, including the large STEP study. History shows creed policing harms people. Councils define orthodoxy, rulers punish dissent, crusades and inquisitions follow. Fear of hell drives compliance, not compassion. Atheism or agnosticism frees you from an invisible bar to clear. Meaning grows from action, love, and responsibility. Evidence guides choices. You own mistakes, learn, keep building. Alex chose progress over guilt. Purpose plus autonomy plus mastery correlates with well-being across many studies. Values-based goals beat guilt-driven rituals.
How about this? Yeah. What bothers you? There's got to be something out there that like.
I also have
People
another
wasting
question.
my time.
People wasting your time. That's a really good answer.
that's a
That's a
good
great
one,
answer.
yeah.
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 It's the only thing I don't have a lot of.
This may seem like a silly question, but if you go to a restaurant and you order something, let's say you order a steak and you order it medium well, and it
Yeah.
comes back medium rare.
Yeah.
Do you say something?
It's not worth his time.
No, I don't actually.
You don't.
No. Why would I? I don't care.
But at the same time, I was like, well, a lot of people would be anxious to say something, and I figured you probably wouldn't care about those emotions, right?
I wouldn't even have an emotion first. I mean, that's
Yeah,
such a
I
non.
wouldn't
Yeah,
care. I
yeah,
really
yeah. I mean, maybe like
wouldn't
like we have a big ad campaign that's supposed to go out, and like I get all the creatives the day before, and it's supposed to launch. Like, would that annoy me? I'd be like, yes, but let's fix it. You know, like this is bad. We can't run this. Let's try again. You know. And in the end, it won't matter because we're all going to die, and this money is going to go back to the game. I'll give you this one analogy. This might be a good wrap up. So this is like my mental analogy that I don't know, makes sense to me, which is like if life were a game, right? And all of us are given a token to like enter like a casino because we're in Vegas, right? And so we all get a token, we enter the casino and we sit down at the table to play poker, right? And everybody's playing, everybody's got cards and all of, we're dealt cards. Everybody's dealt different cards and we got to play the hand we're dealt. And depending on our level of skill, we amass more and more chips throughout the game, right? And at the end of the game, the difference between the real world and the casino in the game of life, right? In the real world, you go and you can cash out your chips and you walk out with money and there you go. There's your day. But I feel like in the casino of life, you get tapped on the shoulder by the Grim Reaper and he says, your time's up. And then all your chips get pushed right back to the middle of the table. And then you leave the casino empty-handed because it was a fake game with fake rules that didn't matter. And so like we accumulate these chips that I'm just going to push back in the middle again that other people are going to play on. And like the reason that analogy became real for me is like I bought this piece of land in Austin and I was like, that's neat. And then I was like, how many people have owned this piece of land? It's like the guy, the guy before me owned it and the guy before him owned it and the guy before him owned it. And I was like, and they were like, this is mine. And then they die or they sell it. And someone was like, this is mine. It's like, they're just chips that just get played with and they just get amassed and then they get redistributed. It just doesn't matter. Like death taxes everybody 100%. So like everyone's like estate planning. It's like, dude, 500 generations from now, like your offspring are, 500 to the, 0.5 or, 1/2 to the 500th power of like diluted. They're basically just humans at that point. So if your wealth somehow is big enough that it can be diluted that much and last that long, the people who own it are just humans. So they're just as close to me as you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, right? And then the alternative is the people that I'm giving this to are just the ones that I care about are the immediate family. But then when people get resources that they didn't learn how to use or manage, then it destroys them because it's too much potential energy. They can't handle it, right? And so it's like it's really for nothing. And so like if you want, you can build something that you think is cool. But like at the end of the day, like we're just going to cash the chips in. So anyways, Alex's worldviews, but
Wow.
It's a great analogy.
just
A lot
stuff.
to think about this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch this.
But like
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually thinking I would
rewatch
never
this.
listen to podcasts over.
No, but
never.
this segment,
I would actually listen to this.
Yeah.
yeah, money, income, net worth, ooh. Investing, indexes, savings accounts, what credit cards.
That's good.
Jeez, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex, for coming on.
This has been an incredible podcast.
Yeah,
really.
I think so.
I appreciate you having me, and to the audience, like I know that a lot of the stuff that I say can be triggering, and I know that at different points in my life, if I had heard someone say what I'm saying in the position that I am, I would be offended, and I want to make it clear that it's not my intention to do that at all. It's just me sharing beliefs that, as I understand the world, and that is no way projection on you or how you see the world, etc. It's just this is how I see the world, and these are beliefs that serve me well. That helped me overcome a lot of things that I thought mattered.
Alex is right to anchor on time. Wrong stake does not matter. Save energy for big decisions. Research on regret shows wasted time ranks high near life's end. Hedonic adaptation, research shows mood snaps back after wins or losses. Action beats rumination. His casino analogy holds. Death returns chips to the table. Estate data backs this. Most family wealth disappears by generation 3. Sudden wealth harms unprepared heirs. Studies link windfalls to higher addiction and depression. No afterlife scorekeeper needed. Meaning grows from projects you choose, people you love, work you do now. Stoics taught control over response, not outcomes. Buddhism teaches non-attachment. Both align with Alex's move away from guilt toward purposeful work. Christian texts give mixed signals on money and legacy. Matthew 6:19 warns against treasures on earth. 1 Timothy 5:8 demands provision for household. Proverbs 13:22 praises leaving inheritance to grandchildren. Guidance conflicts. Binary salvation fails here too. Who qualifies, the generous billionaire without faith, or the believer who neglects family duty? Alex's view fits observed life. Value flows from process, skill, service, and curiosity. Prioritize time, not status. Build, learn, help people around you. No fear of failing a cosmic test. Time is scarce. Spend time well.
Imagine you talk to the creator of the universe before birth and pick the person you get to become. You say, I want to be the most courageous. The creator replies and says, well, then I will give you monsters to terrify you so that you can conquer them. And you say, well, I want to be patient. Well, then I will make you work harder and longer so you can learn to wait. I want to be wise. And the creator replies, then I will give you failures that will crush your spirit so you can learn the value of judgment. You then say, sounds like a rough life. Can you give me a good life? The creator replies, I measure you by what you are at the end, not the fire and the hammer it took to make you. A good life isn't a life that's easy. A good life is a life that makes you into a good person. And that, my son, is a hard life.
Event or action occurred that make you felt that emotion.
If we believe that we have to, like, why should we?
Why should you feel that emotion?
Like, why should we process a traumatic event? Like, what does that mean?
Well, I do believe that there are, things in your brain biologically that if they are deprived of something, or there's some bad traumatic event or something that will affect your
so what makes
biological.
Traumatic versus non-traumatic.
I feel like the definition of the word trauma would probably.
But what would be the line between let's give an example of something terrible, right? Actually not, because it's a podcast and people might hate on Graham. So let's just say something bad happens that we describe as bad in this culture, right? In another culture, that might not be bad. It's trauma in this culture. It's not trauma in this culture. So if the circumstance is the same, why was it traumatic?
Circumstances weren't the same.
Why not?
Because the culture.
The facts were the same. Well, we describe the facts as changed, which means that we can choose to call something trauma.
But doesn't it make sense that people would be built up due to culture and environment?
40-year-old guy sleeps with a 15-year-old girl. Terrible, right? Rewind 200 years. 40-year-old guy sleeps with a 15-year-old girl. 100% normal, right? How is it trauma now and not trauma then? And mind you, this is not my statement. You have to pull an extreme example if we're going to talk about trauma to illustrate the concept, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's traumatic in one instance and not traumatic in another, then it means that we can basically change the cultural narrative that we're ascribing to our context and make it not traumatic.
That makes sense.
Right, which means it didn't matter. Which means the only thing that matters is that you chose to make it meaningful.
But let's say like the passing of a parent or like a loved 100%. One or something like that.
If we think, we feel like we have a narrative that says, if I don't mourn, it means I didn't care about them, right? Mm-hmm. That's a statement of belief. I could say that if I don't mourn about them, it means I totally cared about them. Why does my mourning have any indication of how much I cared? They're non-correlates, right? But it's just because we have so many of these belief statements that quote society or things that we inherit, right? but we just choose to say that this is how life is. And so I think it's just like monitoring what those statements are. And so like one of my favorite sayings, probably like if I had one thing on my tombstone, it would be a permutation of a quote by Orson Scott Card, which is, we question all of our beliefs except for those that we truly believe and those we never think to question.
That's a good quote.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like of course I'm opening to questioning my beliefs. It's like, what's trauma? Like when someone's like, I was traumatized, it's like, were you? Or do you just choose to label it as trauma and then now you fucked up the rest of your life because you call it trauma when 200 years ago it was life? And 1,000 years ago, having your parent killed in front of you was just nature, if you want to go biology, right? And so we just choose to create meaning around things. And so like at the end of the day, like end to end to end, bottom, root,
Yeah.
all our brains do is just create and destroy meaning. And so we say, this is a threat, this is not a threat. We make like, we need to reinforce this behavior, we don't need to reinforce this behavior, all through meaning. Mm-hmm. And so if you can control what you deem meaningful, you can massively shift the odds in your favor because you don't need to ascribe meaning to.
Well,
the
couldn't
values
that be,
of
let's
others
say
and all
like
that kind of
like
stuff.
500 years ago, you see like a parent killed in front of you.
Yeah.
Isn't that because all you have in your mind is like food, shelter, water?
Sure.
And now that we have those things taken care of, our minds go to other places.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just don't think it changes the actual facts. So it's like there's stimulus response, right? And so like we get to control the response, we control the stimulus. And so like, was it it's either Seneca or Epictetus who's like, no one yells at a rock, right? And so it's like, if you are the rock, then like just it doesn't matter, right? Like you just like eventually like people just fuck off and just leave you alone. And so like, and if you see stimulus of life that way in terms of like how you deem things or label things traumatic or not traumatic or good or bad, you know what I mean? It's the same thing I'm sure with like the hate comments and whatnot. Is like, if you deem the comments of the fans as meaningful, then you will both care about them being positive and you will care about them being negative. But if they're not meaningful at all to begin with, then like, I don't think you can do either. I think you just either have to participate in both sides or you remove. That is also a belief statement, right? So like maybe you can. So, you know, interesting thoughts.
So how did you transition from, I'm assuming you used to care a little bit more about beliefs and stuff like that. How did you transition from that to now not caring? And like, did you have to completely change your mindset to where
100%.
your automatic response to things was just like, what are these chains of emotions and like the cultural constraints and stuff like that
100%.
that are making me feel this way?
Yeah.
That did you just switch that light switch, or do you still on occasion catch yourself slipping?
I just did right now. I just said that as a belief.
Right. That's what I figured.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think you systematically, you hear, like, that's why the talking is so important. Like, what words are we using? What do those words mean? Like, you say trauma, I'm like, define that. What do you mean by that? Which is why, like, when you hear really good writing that's academic, like the first few pages will be like, we're going to talk about this, and this is how we define this, and this is how we define this. It's like we're putting constraints around the words that we're using because they mean, they equate to thoughts. They're just buckets, right? That we like say a word like trauma and like it means something different to all three of us. So it's like we have to agree on the definition before we can talk about it.
Alex centers everything on time, work, and mortality. Small annoyances fade. Energy goes to actions that move the needle. His casino frame holds. Death returns the chips. No cosmic bookkeeper is needed for meaning. Build skill. Serve people. Enjoy the work. Wealth studies show most fortunes dissolve by the third generation. Sudden windfalls often harm unprepared heirs. Outcomes match his point about focus and stewardship. The creator story he tells also lands without a deity. Growth follows friction. Psychology calls this post-traumatic growth, with decades of data from Tedeschi and Calhoun. Hard seasons can raise courage, patience, and wisdom. No invisible plan required. On death, reason stays firm. Epicurus argued fear of death makes life worse. Neuroscience ties experience to brain function. When brains stop, experience stops. Before birth, no awareness. After life, the same silence. Alex accepts this and moves forward. Scripture tension supports his exit. Mark 9:24 shows belief on a spectrum. Matthew 7:21 undercuts simple profession. Canon history shows councils and politics shaped texts. Thousands of manuscript differences exist. A moving target should not run your life. So he left. He chose evidence, agency, and work over guilt and creed policing. You can do the same. Audit beliefs by outcomes. Keep beliefs that build love, health, and service. Drop beliefs that burn time and breed fear.